You're listening to Not Your Average CEO Lifeline with your hosts, Danielle Cuomo, CEO, and Nicole Gallicchio-elz, COO. We are here to provide you with a vital lifeline to executive advice that you've never heard before. We have the resources and the tactics to help you reach the next level. Whether you are just starting out or you've been in business for decades, listen in for exclusive tips and content to meet your needs. Hi, and welcome to a savory cup of curiosity with Coffee Bytes. Today, we're going to be talking about navigating the cautions of AI and balancing the progress with responsibility. One of my team members today, Tammy, said this topic is going to be more like vodka bites. So get ready for a 30-minute panel discussion that's going to fuel your mind and fuel your soul with your favorite brew of all things AI. So let's start talking about how things are going to expand and where they're going to go and where they stand right now. So as it stands right now, AI is pumping out a ton of content, right? We all know about the automation part that goes into it, how things are automated to send emails, they can build things, robots. I think, though, that the hype right now is all of the content that is being pumped out by AI and this loss of human control. You know, how do we know that someone is actually thinking and saying and is an expert in a field, especially, you know, right now, if we're reading an article on social media or in a magazine, how are we sure that it wasn't just AI generated? You know, is it authentic? Did it come from the end user? If we are listening to a talk, how do we know it wasn't all AI content that this person memorized? You know, you can now tailor what you want, you know, AI, right? I'll use ChatGPT as an example. You can say, I want it to be funny in this aspect. I want you to write it as a skit. I want you to write it as a script. Have 3 people in the conversation, 4 people, right? This really relinquishes our control over creativity. So I'm going to turn to Heidi or Alex to see what are your thoughts on this loss of human control and unknown of creativity and content that is being pumped out by AI at this current moment.
I think
I was just going to say
there's a lot of issues with transparency with this, because like what you're saying, what if somebody stands up and they memorize content from AI and it's not original? There are people that have worked their entire lives to hone their writing skills and to hone their presentation skills. And there's a lot of that that's in jeopardy right now because this creative element is under attack. And, you know, I kind of take that one step further in that we don't know that this information, let's use the example of the presenter that memorized things from AI. What if they didn't fact check their information and they're giving a presentation that is not fact checked, and people are taking notes and taking that out into the world, and that there could be inaccuracies, there could be biases. And, you know, it's widely known that, you mentioned Chat GPT, Nicole, it's widely known that Chat GPT has biases when it comes to things, that it's actually getting worse and worse with how it puts out content than it did 4 or 5 months ago. So I think that there's a lot of inconsistencies and inaccuracies as well. Alex, over to you.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I also feel like along those lines, it's hard to know who's using it too, because I feel like so many people were so concerned with getting content out and getting some kind of information on their social medias, getting some kind of articles written. You know, they just wanted to have content so that they could up their viewings and up their credibility. And I feel like there's a lot of people out there that might actually know their stuff, that in hopes of just getting a higher viewing, used AI to generate a bunch of content. And like you said, Heidi, didn't really fact check it, didn't really look into it, didn't really worry about the outcome, because all they were worried about is like the efficiency of it all and trying to get something out into the world so that they could, you know, try to build their brand, when in reality it should kind of diminish it. But it's hard to tell, like, how do we know if that's their actual voice or not? you can literally put into a different, other than Chat GPT, there's other writing AI programs where you can put in your old works of writing and it will create a voice and rewrite in your own voice. So I don't know. It's interesting, and it definitely makes you think before you take in information from any articles or social media posts or anything like that.
You mentioned also like the loss, right, of those people who have built their careers on content writing or editing. I don't think we've seen the bottom of the loss. I think that over the next couple months to a year, we're going to start to see that those jobs are less and less needed. I don't know if it'll stay there, right? When things start playing, coming into play where there are biases and these bugs aren't fixed, they're going to be needed back quickly. But I think that there is going to be a large loss in a lot of jobs on a big scale, especially, it's not just content writing, right? There are several platforms now that will create entire spreadsheets of data that you want to see. Like, show me data from all the hurricanes from the past 10 years, put it in a spreadsheet, show me temperature, or wind speed, direction. And now all of that work that would have gone into mining that data is done within 60 seconds. Create, there's a new website that you copy a link from a website that you want to mimic, you put your website in, and it will give you a brand new website with AI content on it, not just copying the template, but making that template look custom to you, to what you want. And it maybe cost you $50. You don't have to hire a web developer. It can hook up to your WordPress account and you're good to go. And now you have a whole brand new site that is AI generated with sales pitches and all of your images transferred. There's no uploads, there's no nothing. Did it all for you. There are websites that can create all of your SEO for you as well. Where does that human factor, aside from looking it over, come into play anymore? We're not just talking about writers, we're talking about web developers. We're talking about assistants. We're talking a whole list of jobs that are just not necessary if you know how to use these systems. I think it may only get worse as tech starts to evolve even further. This happened relatively fast, I think, for the public eye, that all of a sudden, business owners, since that's our topic, are it's coming to light how easy this may be for them, or they may see a tutorial. I know that there are going to be errors, right? You can't just think, oh, it's going to work smoothly, I know nothing about it. And then all of a sudden you have a whole bunch of content, and maybe you're a presenter and you memorize this and someone asks you a question. You're like, oh, that wasn't on my script. How do I answer this?
Right.
Kind of thing, right? I'm standing in front of people and they ask me, how did I get to this answer? And I have no idea what to say, right? That's, I think, one of the worst case scenarios if you're standing and giving a speech. But I don't know where we go from here as far as taking caution. I think it's exploding too fast. You guys have any other insights on that before we talk about all things data privacy with AI coming about?
I think what you just said about the not knowing how to answer the questions, it makes me think of, learning a foreign language when you go overseas and you know how to ask where the bathroom is in that language, but when they respond to you, you have no idea what they're saying. And then you have to ask them to translate it back to English. So it comes from, I guess, that inability, and I don't want to say everyone that uses AI is unable to form their own opinions, because I think that that's very unfair.
Right.
But I see a very strong and fast reliance on this technology. And one of the things that I've seen that has been a very interesting, I guess, almost dichotomy, is how educational institutions are responding to it. There are some that have said, like point blank, that I've read about, don't you dare use Chat GPT. Don't you dare use anything to write your essays. Okay, well then now they have to invest the time in, or the money in, software. They have to invest the time into reviewing everything that the kids are writing. And then there are schools that are saying, you can use Chat GPT, you can use AI, but here's how you can use it. And they have the students writing essays like in Google Docs, where they could see every single thing that's being done. They can tell if somebody's copied and pasted large pieces of a body of a paper over into the document. And there's ways that they're tracking how students are using it. So I think that the important thing for all of us to remember is that, this is cool and it's useful, but we need to tread carefully, and we need to take into account that we don't know where all of this information is coming.
Yeah, that's interesting that you bring up the school side of it, because when you're out of school, you don't necessarily think about that anymore. And I only have a 5-year-old, so in kindergarten, he's not using Chat GPT to write a paper. But thinking about how does that affect the future too? Like having some kid who has a college degree, or, maybe even a master's degree, who doesn't actually know how to write an actual paper or do the research to write a paper. Like, how does that affect us later on as well?
Oh, it affects us big time.
Yeah.
But I don't know okay, so my thought process goes with the school stuff, and I've been a professor, I've tutored for, say, 25 years. How would I know if I understand if you're copying and pasting, right? But if I'm using 2 laptops and I have Chat GPT on one and I'm typing the other, how are they knowing that came from Chat GPT if I'm changing the wording? If, I don't know how on large scale we can know. If I type something into Chat GPT, for example, and Alex, you type something in the exact same wording, find me or write me an article that has this, it's 100 words. How similar do you think they're going to be? I haven't tested it. Has anyone tested it?
It's not similar at all. It's the same kind of thing as if you go into Chat GPT and you type, give me a haiku about the weather in New York State, and you don't like it and you press the regenerate button, it gives you a completely different answer. So if the 3 of us were to go on and type that in, it would give the 3 of us completely different answers.
Huh. But I mean, how many times can it regenerate the same sentence though? So eventually it's going to repeat, right?
Yeah. You want to give it a test?
I would think so.
Alex?
Yeah, let's test it right now. Okay.
I have mine open. All right. Let's
Let's
say write 100-word paragraph surrounding the negative effects of using AI for homework. How's that? All right. Did it give you something?
I have something. Yeah.
All right. I'll read mine. I'll just read the first 2 sentences. How's that? While AI can offer convenience and quick solution, relying heavily on it for homework has negative consequences. Students missing out on valuable learning experience by allowing AI to solve problems on their behalf.
Mine's
Your
totally
first sentence is kind of like my second sentence, but yeah, like Alex, mine's totally different.
All right, what's yours, Heidi?
First 2 sentences: over reliance on AI for homework can engender detrimental consequences in educational landscapes. While AI tools offer quick solutions, they undermine critical thinking and deep understanding capabilities.
Mine is relying heavily on AI for homework can yield detrimental outcomes. Firstly, students might miss out on crucial cognitive development by letting machines solve problems for them. And then it goes on from there.
Mine even talks about essential to foster holistic educational growth.
Mine doesn't even
detailed.
Yeah, mine doesn't say anything like that.
Mine has socioeconomic disparities involved in it.
Mine talks about laziness and how the lack of creativity comes out of it.
That's very knowing you both, it's tailored. It's definitely tailored to you.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
All right. So now where does security come into play with this? Right? Where does data and privacy and collecting all of this stuff? You know, there's the aspect of data breaches or passwords and stuff like that. But there's also, to me, thinking out loud, records. Right now, ChatGPT is collecting all of this information on me, what I am writing, what I am saying, how I am navigating all of my work. It is collected and attached to me in a way. What does that do for privacy and security?
It's
I think
destroying it.
Yeah, but I think that's something that's been going on longer than we realize. I think it's very
Oh yeah,
apparent now because we can physically see it, right? When it's writing stuff that's in our own voice or about things that we find intriguing or things that we've searched or whatever. But I feel like, when you're accepting cookies on websites, it's the same concept.
Mhm.
You're allowing that, well, allowing in quotations, that company to see what you've searched, to see what your interests are and all that stuff. And with social media, it's all out there. It does make it a little bit scary when you say AI, I think, because I feel like a lot of people have this conception of AI being, alive. And
Yeah,
so
learning.
when you think of like something like that having your information, it's a little bit scarier than just a I don't know, a company or a program.
Right, or like a government just
Right.
collecting, right? It's different than um, a third party. This is now we're talking about something that evolves on its own outside of the human aspect of
Right. And
wrongdoing or
who's
something along those
protecting your
lines.
information from
Right.
there?
I know I just wrote an article about it, um, a little bit about AI and but voice assistants, and it's still the listening. I think people are fully aware now that the tech in our house listens, but I still don't know if people have grasped that, right?
Yeah.
Everything it is listening, and I hope it becomes more apparent about data and privacy with the listening. That I don't know about you guys, but it creeps me out the most. Um, I
Yeah.
don't even have to be in the same room, and someone else could say something, and all of a sudden it's on my phone.
Yep.
Um, it's the listening to me is the worst part of it all. Outside of to me, it's worse than AI developing, right, and evolving. It's this tech that is going to listen and evolve. It just I don't know, bugs me out.
Yeah, it's
Really
creepy. It's
does.
definitely a creepy thought.
But like, where does it stop, right? Where does this landscape go from here? Who intervenes? Who's
Yeah, that's a tough question. I mean,
is it
it's tough.
because is it businesses? Is it governments? The world operates all on different scales, right? All countries operate differently. Where does this worldly responsibility, who does that fall on? Who's the first person to step up? Where does it, to me it's a very out there question that I don't know if we're going to like the answer to in 10 years. What are the consequences of all of this?
Right.
And I think that whenever it comes to people that are using the technology maliciously, it's going to need people that are going to use the technology in a proper way to
Mhm.
counteract those people that are using it maliciously. Um, I have a podcast that I listened to recently that was taking that perspective from professional hackers, that protecting from cyber attacks is going to become harder and harder. Whether it's an international attack, whether it's an internal attack, whether somebody's trying to get bank account information, because AI is going to generate the attacks faster than anybody else can, like than a team of humans can, I guess I could say. So it's
And
going to
that if
take AI
humans
to fight AI. Like
right,
AI is going to be, it's going to be like a civil war between the AI modules almost.
it gets you thinking. And it's like
It
like
does.
Tammy said, It is vodka bites this time. It is not coffee bites. This this is not, to me, it's heavy. It's a heavy conversation that I'm not sure a lot of business owners are thinking about when they're just saying, hey, let me just type something into Chat GPT and not have my assistant spend 2 hours writing an article when I can get it in under 30 seconds.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
Any last minute thoughts, ladies? It has been quite the conversation.
No, I don't think I have anything. That was now I'm gonna be thinking about it all day.
I'm gonna be thinking about
We're
it
gonna
for the
go all
next 2
watch
months.
the Matrix here. No.
Yeah.
No, Nicole, I think the thing that really stands out the most to me is the exploitation of personal data, because you look at the terms of services of a lot of these AI apps, and they're all over the place. Some of them say that they own all the content that's
Yeah.
put into them, which, how many people are going to read the terms of services?
Yeah.
I guarantee you, maybe 50% of the time I read them personally. But if you're not even owning the content, let's say you generate something in AI, you publish it in the book, and you think you own it, and then you get sued for plagiarism by the company that owns the AI platform. So I think that it's just that's the scary gray area for me right now, is this personal data, and where does it go, and who's keeping track of it, and who does it belong to? That's kind of the big red flag for me right now.
Did you start thinking about that when I sent you one of the links over? Like, look at
Yes.
this. Where did this come from?
Yes.
Yeah, I typically don't. And I think something caught, I look at some terms of service, but I don't use a lot of different platforms. I know a lot about the different platforms, but I don't have a use for them. And something had caught my eye, and I had just sent you that link because I saw it and I was like, this is a little off space
Mm-hmm.
here. I don't know about this. And I started, diving into it with you, Heidi. And even, I mean, then it's going to be, you think, okay, I just put this in, this program wrote this book for me. I published it, didn't look at the terms of service. But AI is going to be fast enough to now know what was plagiarized and what was not.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even, like, it's not even a way to hide it, right? If you're publishing it on Amazon, AI could, a simple platform that they're using could just flag it and just be
Right.
flagged.
Right.
Oh, hey, this person, even they can just even look for terms that say, write me a book on their platform. And they know that that's someone who they need to put on their watch list.
Yeah, this is starting to sound like a living nightmare.
Right? Like it's a lot. But at what capacity can that many people be sued at one time? Or, now I own the rights. It's just, it seems like it snowballs really fast out of hand. And thanks for reminding me, Heidi, to talk about it, because I know it's been on our list. Please check your terms of service if you're listening to what you're using. It's really important as to what you own. You may even you may own all of those thoughts that you put into that AI platform, but you wanted it to generate some extra space, fill in some keywords, and now all of a sudden all of that work that you did is no longer yours because you put it into that platform that owns it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Going off of that, I read something about Zoom. I know we're on Zoom right now. But that was along the same lines. They're about to change their terms of service. Again, I didn't look into it, so I don't know how real that is, but along the same lines of like, if you agree to the terms of service, they have the ability to watch what you're video chatting about. They have the rights to what you're saying in those video chats. And again, I didn't look into it, but with the different programs, I mean, TikTok and things like that say that whatever you're posting on them is their content to use freely. It doesn't surprise me.
No, but I think that's been known a little bit about Zoom, right? Because it's not HIPAA compliant, right? There are other more secure platforms that you can use for, therapists or medical professions.
Sure.
So let's keep that on our radar, Alex. Let's make
Yeah,
note of that.
I'm gonna
Let me know when it comes about, and we'll look into it together.
Yeah.
That's I didn't know about that one. I didn't know about that one.
Yeah, that one just came across I don't remember if it was an email or, again, it could have been an article that I was reading. So who knows how true it is, right?
That's true.
Going back to the
Yeah.
people using AI to write stuff. Maybe it was an article that I read. But nonetheless, just something to think about. Just to put more into your nightmares.
Well, let's cut it there. Our 30 minutes of vodka bites was quite the fuel for your mind for today for AI. Thank you all for listening, and thank you, Heidi and Alex, for joining me today. It has been quite a cup of coffee today. You've been listening to Not Your Average CEO Lifeline with your hosts Danielle Cuomo, CEO, and Nicole Gallicchio-elz, COO. This podcast has been sponsored by Virtual Assist USA. If you'd like to know more about the hosts or exploring virtual assistant services, visit virtualassistusa.com for more information.